my God, guys, today's video is a doozy. There was a bombshell dropped today by Bloomberg. Jason Schreier wrote an article detailing a ton of stuff happening at WB Games. A lot of what I'm reading here is fairly upsetting. There is one thing that is exciting. We'll go over that here later in the video, though. Just buckle up, okay? There is a lot to go over. Like I said, a Bloomberg article here from Jason Schreier with the headline that reads, Warner Bros. Video game division faces thin slate, leadership uncertainty, and Wonder Woman issues. Below that, it mentions here that last year, Warner Bros. Discovery took $300 million in losses on gaming. The near future is rife with additional challenges. And throughout the article, he goes over all these different development studios that are under the WB Games umbrella. So he goes over Avalanche, the guys who made the Hogwarts Legacy game. He goes over WB Montreal, Rocksteady, Monolith. So we're going to try and detail as much as possible here in today's video, but I do highly recommend that you read the full article. I'm not going to be able to sit here and read word for word, top to bottom, but we're going to try and go over as much of the relevant info to this channel. Starting off here with the bit from the article that says one of the company's biggest bets in development, a video game based on Wonder Woman, has struggled to coalesce. Early last year, it was rebooted and switched directors. The game has already cost more than $100 million, said the people who asked not to be identified discussing non-public information, and is still years away from release if it ever makes it to market. Oh my God, no. Now, okay, we should say that although Jason Schreier is a very reputable person, you know, a lot of what he has reported on is true. You never know with this stuff. We always have to take some of it with a grain of salt, but what Jason Schreier is saying here, if true, is heartbreaking, to say the least. I have been championing the Wonder Woman game. I've been talking a lot about how Monolith is such a perfect fit for it, and I still do believe that. And the Nemesis system, I can't believe that WB Games has taken this long to take advantage of a system that they patented. That should have been implemented in like every single DC game that they're trying to work on. It is such a cool system that we got from those Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War games, and my goodness, it would work so well in a DC game. But to hear that in 2024, early last year, this Wonder Woman game was rebooted and switched directors, we're not gonna see it for a while, and as it says in the article, maybe not ever. I don't know. I really hope that the folks at Monolith lock in and they make something work, because Wonder Woman deserves her own game with the Nemesis system, being able to free roam around if it's open world Themyscira. So much of that sounds great on paper. And that takes me now to the Monolith section of this Bloomberg article. First, though, hit that thumbs up button if you're also sad about everything that I'm talking about in this video. The article detailed that at one point, Monolith was trying to work on a brand new IP, and that at a certain point, they realized that wasn't going to work out, and so they canned that project to then pivot to work on Wonder Woman. And the article here says, it's now been more than 7 years since the studio's last game. An initial version of Wonder Woman tried reimagining the Nemesis system with the game's namesake heroine befriending enemies, but that idea has since been tossed out in favor of a more traditional action-adventure game. Now, Wonder Woman's fate remains in question, according to people familiar with the business, because of challenges following the changes in Monolith's leadership and issues surrounding the game's technology. Oh, man. I'm bummed out. When I read that, I just get so bummed out. So, I mean, what it says there is that at one point they were trying to do something with the Nemesis system and reimagine it with Wonder Woman, but now it's been tossed out in favor of it being just a more traditional action adventure. Does that mean it's just not going to have the Nemesis system at all anymore? Because in that reveal trailer, the description of the reveal trailer says that they're going to be using Monolith's iconic Nemesis system. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind if they want to go for something that's just more like what we have seen from Insomniac with the Spider-Man games, or even just going back to like the Batman Arkham games, because when you look at Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, they're very much borrowing the combat system of the Arkham game. So if we were to just get something like that, but with Wonder Woman, I also wouldn't mind, but the Nemesis system is so cool that it feels like it would be a wasted opportunity to not utilize it with a DC character. And I don't know, just hearing that the game might not even come out, that's just such a bummer. I have seen so many people who have said, I can't believe this game was announced all the way in, like, I think it was 2021 during the Game Awards, and we just haven't gotten a single update since. I think the only thing that we have gotten is some leaked concept art on somebody's LinkedIn. And I guess now we know why. There was a lot of trouble in the development of the game, and now it's been rebooted. So that means, again, years until we see it, if ever. Let's move on now to the next bit of the article, which talks about WB Montreal. And there is a lot in here that I find to be extremely interesting. So it says, the Montreal studio began working on a new live service Batman game that it hoped would freshen up the franchise by ditching Bruce Wayne. Halfway through development, as it struggled to make progress on the new project, the studio dropped the live service component. In 2022, it released Gotham Knights, which went on to receive mediocre reviews and generate tepid sales. You know, a lot of people had speculated when Gotham Knights came out that it looked like it had all the makings of a live service game, but just wasn't. And I guess if what we're reading here is to be believed, that was the case. It was supposed to be at one point or another a live service game, and that was ditched to then just make it an RPG. To continue on with the article, though, it says here, even so, based on the hard-earned lessons from the previous development cycle and equipped with new proven technology, the Montreal studio leaders wanted to make another iteration of Gotham Knights, a 1.5 version that would fix some of its predecessor's flaws. But their bosses nixed the idea, according to people familiar with the plans, and instead assigned the bulk of Montreal's staff to help out with other projects across Warner Bros. You know, okay, listen, I have talked about Gotham Knights a lot on this channel. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think it is just an okay game, and I still stand by that. Like, I'll jump in and play Gotham Knights from time to time, and I'll be like, you know what, this open world's kind of cool looking, the character designs are pretty fun, the photo mode is great, and I don't mind, you know, just free roaming around, and, you know, sometimes the combat isn't all too bad. If they were to make a 1.5 version and try to fix some of the issues that people had with the game, I really do think it could have been a soaring success. You know, it also mentioned in the article that it had tepid sales. I mean, it's not a bomb by any means, it sounds like, and one of the biggest issues were the reviews. So if we were to turn that around, if we were to make a 1.5 version and try to fix all the flaws and try to get people back into the game, it could have been a pretty great success. But unfortunately, that is not what ended up happening. Here's what the article says in regards to what WB Montreal then tried to do after that idea got nixed. In the months that followed, the Montreal studio continued trying to get a new project off the ground. First, they pitched a game based on the comic book anti-hero John Constantine, who was played by Keanu Reeves in a 2005 feature film. Dodd's team, led by Vice President of Production Ben Bell, initially said they were excited about the idea, but when asked for budget and timeline approvals, they remained non-committal, according to the people familiar with the plans. That is crazy. They were going to make a John Constantine game. I mean, I would have been down for that. I'm not totally against the Constantine game. I think he's a pretty cool character, and I think there's some fun ideas that you can play around with there. You can make it almost like Devil May Cry, but it's John Constantine. Maybe don't do like the full-on action game elements because he's not that kind of character, but still, it could be just him fighting demons and fighting all these wacky, crazy monsters. There could have been some cool things there. Continuing with the article, though, it says, after months of waffling, Bell suggested that they should work instead on a game starring a more recognizable character, like the Joker or the Flash. They chose to go with the superhero speedster, but in 2023, Warner Bros. Released Flash, a lavish movie starring Ezra Miller, which bombed at the box office. The video game has since been scrapped. This is pain. I don't know why the lesson we learned from the Flash movie not doing well was apparently a bunch of people thinking that it was because the Flash wasn't a popular hero. Guys, the first Joker movie made $1 billion. The second one did not. And it's not because Joker is not popular. If we made a Joker game, I'm sure it could be good under the right leadership and under the people who have the passion for that character and want to make a game that does service to that character. It's just so upsetting that because the Flash movie bombs, that means that there's just like this trickle effect. You know, we don't get a Flash game now because of it. The Flash is my favorite superhero of all time. It makes me extremely sad to hear that at one point or another, there was a game that wanted to be worked on and it gets canned because the movie didn't do well. What does that mean for the Flash as a character under the DC umbrella going forward? Will there ever be a Flash movie again? Will he ever pop up in another project? Do people think that there's some weird baggage around the Flash? We got 9 seasons out of that show and people loved it. I mean, okay, maybe they didn't like some of the later seasons, but still, we all kind of enjoyed that CW Flash show. And people are a fan of this character. You can do a game based off of him, and if we do it justice, if we have the right passionate people behind the scenes working on it, it could be great. And I think this is in part the issue with WB Games right now, and well, they're trying to fix it. The issue being that everything needed to be done under their umbrella. It all needed to be done by studios that they own, whether it's WB Montreal, Monolith, Rocksteady. Those are the guys that have to work on these ideas. Now they have started to say and admit that they do need to work with people outside of WB Games umbrella. They need to start working with these third-party developers, with people that they don't necessarily own. That's just the way to go. I honestly think that that's just how it needs to be done. It's why Marvel Games is so successful right now. There are people out there, there are studios out there with great ideas. You need to go to them and see if they want to work on your IPs. It cannot all be under your umbrella. And it's, again, a large reason why I do believe that Suicide Squad did not do well. I mean, there are a lot of elements there that I think could have been great. I do like the gameplay. I do think visually it is a beautiful game. I think the open world of Metropolis is really well realized, even if it is empty. But as a live service, it just doesn't work. And the ending, I couldn't even cover the video on that last update with them reversing the ending in like a motion comic. I was so upset. But hey, regarding Rocksteady, now a lot of what I just said is what he goes over, Jason Schreier, in this article with Bloomberg, but he does end this article on a bit of a positive note. And it's something that we've heard about already, okay? But it looks like this is pretty much the confirmation. Like, it's actually happening. Jason Schreier ends the article saying, now, Rocksteady is looking to return to Batman for a single-player game. But according to people familiar with the timeline, the new project is years away from landing. And I mean, you didn't really need to even speak to people who were familiar with the timeline or anything like that. Okay, Suicide Squad came out last year. They just wrapped up their development on that game, releasing this final update, which was not great in my opinion. So obviously, if they're working on a Batman game next, if that's actually indeed happening, it's going to be a long time until we see it. But it's still exciting, if true, that Rocksteady's next game up is going to be Return to Form. It's going to be Batman. It's just, what is the idea? What do we do there? But as long as it's got the Arkham combat, as long as it's got a cool open world, we're off to a good start. But that's it. That is today's video. Again, a lot of sad news. The Wonder Woman game might get canceled. If not, it's years away from releasing as it's rebooted its development. A Constantine game got canceled. A Flash game got canceled. And now we might have the confirmation here from Bloomberg that Rocksteady is working on a Batman game. We're gonna have to wait and see, but it looks like my dreams of a Superman game is pretty much just never gonna happen. I'm gonna be like 70-year-old Caboose talking to my grandkids about, you know, kids, I've been wanting a Superman game my whole life, but instead they released Fortnite 2. I don't know. With that being said, sound off with your thoughts in the comments section below. What do you think about all this news? Does it bum you out as much as it bums me out? And also, if you could have WB Games just make one game out of a DC hero that they haven't yet, what would it be and why? Sound off with your thoughts in the comments. I've been Caboose. I'll see you guys later.